Well, welcome. So today we're going to talk about Sheet Generator and what's new. Since 2025, we've put out a number of improvements, and they've been mainly driven by folks like you. So today we're going to cover some of those and talk a little bit about what Sheet Generator does for you and how it can help your workflow. As always, this webinar will be recorded for our YouTube channel and will be available in a few days. As we go along here, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the questions panel, and we will get to them if we can during the broadcast, but more importantly, we'll save time at the end to get to anything that you might want to know. If you're watching on YouTube and you have a question, just ask it in the comment question there or panel there, and we'll get back to you. So again, thank you for joining us. Let's get started today. So Sheet Generator, it's part of our SIM project suite of tools, and it's intended for the everyday Civil 3D user creating design and production drawings. We're currently on version 25.3, and it will work 4 versions back from this current version, which is Civil 3D version 2021. So Sheet Generator is built to help with streamline your site design projects, and there are some fairly powerful features that will make your workflows more efficient. With some initial setup and some best practices, you can help get the most out of this essential tool, which will enable you to automate sheet creation, saving time and enhancing productivity. Today, we're going to just discover some of the new things that we've done and show you that it's ideal for civil engineers and designers who are looking to streamline their design production. So we're going to look at some of the new features in Sheet Generator. I'm going to go back to 25.0, and we'll see how that can help streamline your projects even further. And then we'll talk about a few tips as we go along here. Sheet Generator, plan production today in Civil 3D natively. We do it with our view frames, which are somewhat inflexible. Updating is difficult and tedious, and it's not available at all for doing site designs, in that you need an alignment to create your view frame groups. And Sheet Generator is more versatile in that way. It eliminates manual editing and will end up saving you time. The model view shapes are linked to your paper space layouts, and all the setups will work with your current standards and user block definitions. And the view shapes that we create, essentially your viewports in model space, are fully editable. So as always, we can create our layouts along an alignment, or now we can fit them to a site plan. The layouts can be in a sheet set or created right in your active drawing. And the north arrow, when you create your layouts, will automatically orientate. And we have no proprietary objects as with all of our tools, so we can feel free to share all of our data without losing anything in the translation. New and improved things since 25.0 to the current. We have redesigned our ribbon a bit to include our site layout creation. And instead of going right to left, how we did before for workflow, it's now a top to bottom workflow that cascades down. So we can create our layout sites with or without an alignment. And we added to the alignment view shape creations, we've added station range selection when continuous line layout is not necessarily needed. And we've also added a function to avoid objects along our plan layout. So no more cutting the sheet, laying it out, seeing where it hits something, and then coming back and edit it. We can choose those things right from the start. And we have now added individually selecting of our pipe networks, including pressure pipes, to our profile views. And we've added a couple more options for our placement of our match lines on our profile sheets. And again, we can create our sheets directly in our active drawing. And with our sheet or our site tool, the newest tool there, we do include default blocks. They're located at the location you see there, C users, public, CTC software, sheet generator. And if you're going to use a default as it is, you will need to leave it there. You can edit it all you want, but it will need to be edited there. Once you edit it, you can put it in your drawing, and then you can grab it that way. So that's probably the most recommended way, is make sure it's in your drawing, edited, looks like you want it to look, to access it and get it working right for you. So with that, let's jump into a drawing and talk about a few of these things. So the first one I'm going to cover is our ability to do station ranges. So if you got a long alignment like this, if for whatever reason you wanted to not do a portion of it for your layouts, we can do that. So we simply do that in our alignment view shapes. So the first thing you want to do, as I mentioned, they work from top to bottom. So we'll come here, we'll go to create our view shapes. And we've added this graph box right here. And that's how we control what we want to see. So if I wanted to do a range of stations and skip one, I would do something like this. I can pick it from the drawing. This is going from the beginning. By default, it will do that for you. And then I can come in here and select the stations I want. I can hand type them in. If I come and I pick somewhere in here, it will give me that station. If I had an area I wanted to pick just like that, I would do that. And as I mentioned, we can hand enter it, and then you hit the green plus over here. So even if you're going from end to end and you have this right away, it still needs to be added here in order for you to run it. So whether you choose to do it in sections or the entire alignment, it still needs to be in this table matrix over here. So let me add a couple more here. I'll just hand enter them. We'll go try 69 to 81. I'll add that one. And let's do one more. I'm going to pick this just so I can zoom out so you can see how this happens when they get laid out in there. And I'll just pick anywhere down here. So actually, let's remove this one. That's getting too close. I'm going to just do the beginning and the end. You'll get the idea from that. So if you ever wanted to change it, by the way, we just can do like that right there. So let me just do the end portion. Let's just say 79 to the end. And I'm just going to come in here and pick the end. So I've got the end, add that. And again, too, if you want to add something in the middle, we can do that. So if I just said 69 to 70, I don't know, 72, and I add that, it just pops it right in there. So it even goes in the right order there. Let's let it run with that, see what happens. So the other way is the centered, everything that we've done before, none of that has changed. The next thing we want to highlight is this portion of it is the new avoid. I'm going to go ahead and just let it run as is right now. I'm going to change a layer here for my drafting guides, which are nothing more than a polyline that's been put on there to help assist you in editing if you need to. So if I hit finish, you can see it put a few sections in here. It laid our view shapes in there, and it left out the errors we wanted. But if we had a situation like this, where we have a little close to that manhole right there, or this one, I could edit it manually by simply gripping. It's just a polyline. I can grip it. I can move it. As long as it stays within my print area, which is nothing more than what shows up on your layout tab right here when you choose to create. So it's this area that shows up right here. Actually, the plan and profile one. So this one. Well, it's on either of them. I just had a plan. So you'll need this set up too. But if I wanted to avoid that right out of the chute and I didn't want it to cut there, that's where we would set our avoid. So let's get to that. So I'll just open this back up. And we only have one viewport. I'm going to, we'll just leave it. So let me go to the next right here, and we have this right here. So if you enter a value for things to avoid, it's always going to hold that. So you only have to do it once. If your typical standard is to avoid them by 15 feet, what have you, you could do that right there. So then we hit our ellipse right here to go tell it what we're going to do. And I could do it by the entire network if I wanted to. I just simply hit this, come pick my network. And for whatever reason, that didn't work. But more particularly for this case, I would want to pick my structures. Oh, I picked because I didn't pick the network structures. So that's why I didn't get that. I'll show you that again. It's not picking the pipe because we're not avoiding the pipe. We're picking the structure. So there it will grab the whole thing. So it says 24 objects. But again, we're just going to do those two. So I'll come now grab these. Just these two. Let's see if there's any down here. That one's probably not too bad. I'm going to pick it anyway. I'll go enter. So we've got our three. We say OK. And this time I'm just going to let the ends go to the ends and not clip those at my match lines. And then I'll hit finish. So you see right away it avoided that one and rounded to the next whole number that it found, the 50. 50 stations is what I told it to round to. And if we come and look at these, it did that as well. So if there's anything in there that you wanted to avoid, manholes, blocks, there's a whole host of things we can avoid. So next thing, let's talk about our pipe networks, how they go into our profiles. So if I have one set up such as this, and I have my profiles here, I can now add those one at a time. So if I come in here, and as we talked about, cascade down as a workflow. So I hit my profile views. I've already made those. Now I want to add my networks to my views. So I select that and I pick my profile. You can see in my command line down here, I pick the profile I want them to go to. I hit enter and I get this box. Similar to natively how you would do it, we can do these one at a time, sort of on the fly. A little easier to operate that way. So if I just wanted the storm in this one, I'll select my storm. I'll hit OK. Now it's going to ask me this right here. How far to look for it? So 50 is what I've got it set at. So it's going to look of the center line that we're using for this profile. It's going to look 50 feet left and 50 feet right and find any storm pipes that it needs to put into my profile. So I can do that, and we recently added just pressure pipe networks to that, so I can just go ahead and right click to get that command back up. I'll pick my profile again. I'll hit enter. I'm going to pick my pressure pipe water main, say OK, and there's my 50-foot distance at the bottom again. It will easily fall within there, and we can add that. And also, we can still do them all if we need to. Just the same process. Select it, pick my profile, and then I'm going to pick all of them, excluding my gravity water, my pressure pipe. I'm going to say OK. Again, 50 feet either side, and there we have everything populating. So with that, we can come to create layouts. And this is the standard, same as AutoCAD, wants you to save it so it knows what it's doing. And I would come in here to create the layouts and plan and profile, select everything just the same we did before. I'm going to go next. And I really just want to show the centering of the match line placements, what we've added here. So we've got our pressure pipe network now. If I want to add my match lines to center on that, let me go back here. I'm just going to make one. Let's try that one. Say next, and I'm going to go next. And I'm going to just go ahead and put it in the current drawing so we can see that. And we have to duplicate our layout. I'm going to use my plan and profile in this case and tell it to finish. And there I created my plan and profile in my drawing. Oh, my graphics aren't set up. Oh, there we go. Okay. There it is right there. So I told it to center on my water main, so that's what it's doing right there. So now to the final improvement that we made is our sites. So independent of a layout or an alignment, we can create layouts right in here. And as I mentioned, we have the default blocks to use. If you wanted to bring them in, you would hit right here. We've also included a north arrow and a match bubble. I've preset this up. So I'm grabbing that. If you put it in your drawing, you would just simply go grab it right here. Or you could, if you have it sitting in your drawing somewhere here, you could go grab it this way too. So we need to set the block, and then we need the layer that it's going to go on, and then our view shapes, which are essentially our viewports. I'm going to go ahead and set this right here. This is where we would want to clip it, add a buffer if we were going to put match lines on here. I'm just going to step right through this today. And this would be our overlap, how we would set those match lines. That's in your drawing unit, so feet. And you set that site angle here. We can do that in the drawing simply by picking if I wanted to align something like that. I know it's closer to 70, so I'm going to do that right away. It picks up our drawing scale, whatever our drawing scale is down here. If you need to put a different scale, if you want to plot at a different scale, you can certainly do that. If you're drawing at all your annotation is that scale, it will pick that up automatically for you. Then we have our sheet numbering. How do we want those numbered, and that's pulling from our block that we include. If you're using your own, make sure that you have an attribute in here that this reads from. I'm giving the starter number, counting by 1. We can do some other things in here if we want to include things. I'm just going to go next counter. This standard, pretty much AutoCAD stuff, if I wanted to put that in here. Leave it at next counter, increment by 1. You can use alphanumeric prefix or suffix if you wanted to as well. So I'm going to drop it about here, and then about here. This will take a little bit of kind of trial and error before you get it, but what I would recommend, best practice, is make sure you get more versus less, because we cannot copy these. That's very important. Remember, we cannot copy these, or it will not work in the create, right? But we can delete them, we can move them, we can do anything we want to them after they're placed. So if I had a whole lineup of them up here, let's just say I can move these around, delete them however I see fit. So then I have 2 more options here where I can say finish. If I wanted to do that editing, I would say finish, and I would come in here and it shows me that they're placed, or I could have jumped right to my create layouts. So if I wanted to do anything to these, rotate them, what have you, move them, I can just do that and it will take care of everything. Then to create the layouts, it's simply going right down, top to bottom. Same as with the alignment, it's going to give us the standard AutoCAD there. So then if I had different groups in here too, I would go ahead and select a different group, which we would have named and created in the create layouts, and it knows by group everything I'm using here. So it already recognizes that, so I won't have to go back and pick those. If for whatever reason you need to, you can do the pull down again or go pick in the drawing. I'm going to add my north arrow. This is the same one you will get. I'm going to put that on a different layer. I think I have a north arrow layer. I'm just going to put it on cyano, back with it. So we'll do that, and then the match line bubble, again, this comes with the tool, and you can edit that however you see fit. I've got it in here for sheet number, and then set the match line, and I go to next, and I get a list of all of the sheets that are going to be created. For today, I'm going to just pick on this one in the middle here, 105, so I'm going to deselect these. We could renumber these too if we wanted to, by the way. If I wanted to make these a 500 series, for instance, and another thing to point out is they should be 3 numbers, or it's an Excel it reads from it. It's not going to like that. So if I do that and I tell it to autofill, oops, I got to select them all. Autofill, see, it will renumber them for you. You're not going to see that until after we go through the creation process, but it will renumber those. I'm going to just put them back to 101 so I don't have to go through all that again. And show you that again, 102, tell it autofill, and they're back to the number we wanted. So now I'm going to deselect. I'm going to just select 105. And we have different tools over here too for sliding. This will slide out all the way to the top if I move that one, for reordering. If you needed to do that, push them around this way. So next, and what layout template? We have to have that again. That's the same as we do for our alignments. And then how many do we want? I'm only doing the one, so it doesn't matter, but you can set this to anything you want. It really doesn't take that much time. And then for them to create it in the drawing, which I'm going to do. And then you can set this here too. So whatever we want it to say. I'm just going to leave this what it is, layout number, and then the plan group name. We'll see that reflected when it creates the tabs. And again, the same setting here in the drawing or in a sheet set, and finish. So when I come look at my layout tab, you see it was created there, and it orientated my north arrow. Must have slightly missed something with my match line bubble that didn't come in. Perhaps I have the wrong name, but those will come in there for you too. So with that was all we had for what's new today with SheetGen. Hopefully you saw some things here that you will find might help your workflows out a bit. And if you're familiar with our tools, you'll be happy to use some of the new features. And if you're not, maybe you see something that you think would help it enhance your workflows. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for joining us today for this webinar.